"What did you do to me?" Quinn said, his anger evident in his voice that became a bit deeper. The others had never seen Quinn like this before, so they were stunned. Meanwhile, filled with rage, Quinn started to walk toward Sia. Right now, Quinn was unsure what Sia's skill was. All he knew was it had reduced his stats by 10%. If this was a permanent effect, then he would have lost a lot of hard work. "Is this guy really a level 1? Sia thought, as she looked into the anger that was swimming in Quinn's eyes. She wasn't sure if she imagined it or not, but she thought she could see the color of his eyes slowly starting to turn red. "Hey, Quinn, relax," Fex said as he jumped in between the two of them before Quinn could even act. He then leaned forward and whispered to Quinn, making sure his body and head were blocking Sia from seeing him. "Quinn, your eyes, they're red. You need to control your anger and calm down," Fex advised. However, as Quinn thought about how hard he had worked to gather those stat points, and them going away just like that, his anger started to boil again. "Spirit spear has worn off. Stats have returned to normal." The spear that impaled his chest slowly dissipated into thin air, and the energy seemed to return to his body. At the same time, his mind was suddenly cleared along with his anger. "Hey, did you really think I would hurt you in front of all these teachers and students? It looks like I've joined a team of crazy people," Sia complained. "A support ability?" Vorden said. Sia simply nodded as a response to Vorden's query. The reason Vorden hadn't reacted the same way as the others was because he had seen this type of ability before. "I'm guessing that it's the Spirit Drain ability, am I correct?" Vorden inquired further. "It allows the user to form spirit weapons in their mind. When this spirit hits its target, it can either act as a buff or debuff. There are different types of spirit abilities. If this is Spirit Drain, then this acts as a debuff on the user. I don't know the finer details about it, though." "Thank you," Sia said. "I knew someone on this team would have a brain. As he said, when my ability hits, it is able to debuff the target for 5 seconds, and then the effect wears off. The good thing about this is that the spears can also stack up. In that time frame, the more spears impaled into a target's body, the heavier the debuff. Because I'm only a level 3, though, the amount of time the spear lasts is only 3 seconds, and the distance I can throw the spear is quite short." The others didn't want to admit it, but having Sia on the team would be a great addition. Support-type abilities were greatly sought after. The problem was that they were also very unpopular. Usually, support abilities required one to work with the team. Without them, they were pretty much useless. Sia's spears didn't inflict much damage to its target. It would only drain their energy and stats, meaning that while she was using her spears, it would be best if someone else dealt with the target. For this reason, many people tend to overlook this ability whenever they're about to pick, since it was hard to be defenseless on a battlefield. Although there were the plus sides, if one was to select a support ability, it meant that they would easily be able to join a faction in the future. "Anyway, it looks like this group won't amount to much," Sia uttered. "So why don't we just meet up on the day of the portal outing? There's no point training together within the 2 days left prior to the expedition." "But," ahead of arguing her case, Quinn interrupted Layla's speech. "I agree. Why don't we all do our own thing before the portal outing? It's been a tiring week, and I think some of us can do with some rest," Quinn said. Before the others could even say anything, Sia was already walking off. The assembly had ended, and students were told that, until the portal outing, they would have the next 2 days off. This was to make up for the weekend that they would, most often than not, utilize to rest. The idea was also to allow the students to focus on teamwork. It was a free period, still, the teachers encouraged the students to ask them for help and guidance. Nevertheless, Quinn had his own ideas and plans ahead of the expedition. While everyone was busy doing their own business, Quinn had arrived at the VR gaming room. With the nanostick that had been given to him, he no longer needed to bug Logan. Accordingly, he headed to his room in order to use the private servers. "Now, let's see what you got. Tutorial video for skill Phantom Hit has begun." The VR room was the best place to practice, and now that he had access to Logan's private server, it meant Quinn could also practice his shadow abilities freely. If there was no way for him to get blood at the moment, then that meant he would have to focus on learning more skills. The first thing Quinn was going to do was have a look at the new tutorial video he had unlocked after learning the vampire martial arts. Phantom Punch Tutorial was the name of the video. It made sense that the new skill was somehow related to a punch, since vampire martial art mainly focused on using hands. "Hello there," the blonde man in a cheery voice said in the video. Once again, the blonde man was in a martial arts hall with wooden floors and such. Quinn started wondering about the location of the place. Was it on Earth, like the system AI said, or maybe another place? The identity of the blonde man remained a mystery, too. If only Quinn could trust Fex enough, he would try to find a way to show what the blonde man looked like to Fex. Maybe he would have an answer. "It seems like you are progressing quite well. Unfortunately, my talents never seem to fit in well with the vampire martial arts, and I thought you two might stray from this path. But just in case, I decided to include this video if the user ever decided to learn it. In my opinion, this is one of the most useful skills to have. But just a little warning, this skill seems to work better with beings with a high level of intelligence, namely humanoid creatures. When testing this against a beast, it has little to no effect." This piece of information disappointed Quinn a little. He was just about to go on an orange portal outing where plenty of beasts reside. Still, the skill would be useful. Dalki, vampires, and humans all fell into the humanoid category, and lately, it seemed like Quinn was going to be attacked by them a lot more than beasts these days. "To perform this skill based on the system stats, you will need at least 15 points of agility and 10 points of charm. These are the minimum requirements. Now, as you increase your points into charm and agility, this skill will work even better. This is a skill that evolves with your stats, not by continuous usage." This sounded a little confusing at first, but Quinn seemed to understand. After using the blood swipe multiple times, it had eventually evolved. This was the same with blood spray and also the shadow skills. It seemed like whatever skills were related to the charm stat would evolve, or become more powerful, as the stat related was increased, such as his daze and influence skills. "This skill will be a tricky one to show, so you will have to listen to my explanation very carefully," the blonde man said. The man then brought out a human mannequin that was made of foam. He blasted out, throwing his fist, just touching the mannequin ever so slightly. The set of moves and punches he had used was the same that he and Fex had learned. "Now, I'm going to chat a little bit just for the video and show you how the skill will look." The blonde man took a deep breath and then suddenly threw out a bolt of punch lightning fast towards the head. It was a perfect hit. Bang! The sound of the impact was heard, but looking at the video, there was no such mark on the mannequin's head. Upon taking a closer look, instead of a marking on the head, there was a fist mark on the body instead.
Hi, Quinn here. Wondering what happens next? If you want to jump the queue and unleash all episodes, click on the link here and install the Pocket FM app.